presenting to you Financial Markets live from Smart 24, Plot 42 Nile Avenue in Kampala, Uganda's capital. Now, I promised we would have a special guest this afternoon, and he's already here. This is Mr. Ongura Joram. He's the CEO SBG Securities, which is a brokerage firm for securities, and he's about to educate us more about what this means and what it does, and exactly how relevant this is to investment. Mr. Ongura, you're most welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here, and good afternoon to you, our viewers.
Yes, so we will start right away, Mr. Ongura. What is SBG and what is brokerage anyway?
All right, so I'll first start by introducing our organization. So SBG Securities Uganda Limited is a subsidiary of Stanbic Uganda. We are a licensed investment firm that deals in a couple of businesses that I'll share as we proceed. But for this, specifically for this engagement today, we deal in what we call buying and selling of securities on a listed exchange.
Well, so we have quite a number of brokers, and SBG has been one of those that has stood out. In the recent past, as MTN IPO was coming to board, I remember SBG was almost at the center of this. How has SBG evolved over time to what it is today?
All right, thank you. So SBG Uganda Securities Limited was a transaction advisor to MTN, the MTN IPO. This IPO, the for what it meant for our market is that the size of the magnitude of this company in a way increased on our market capitalization. So SBG, as part of a group franchise name, has a couple of subsidiaries operating across Africa, and based off that we're able to put together our minds together and be able to deliver very milestone kind of transactions in our market.
Wow. Okay, now let's talk about these transactions you carry out. What are some of the products or services you offer, and why should someone really be interested?
All right, thank you. So we have a couple of services we provide. We categorize them into three categories. So one is what we do is we are holding in one. The other thing that we hold and promise you a return. And then the last one is basically what you usually based on your risk appetite, but then from the company perspective, guide these companies, guide them on how to list or raise cheap capital on our capital markets. Thank you.
Well, let's talk about a little bit more about those products that people should look out for. You know, in Uganda, the stocks are not as active. When you look at our stocks every day, you see almost the same pricing, almost nothing really much happening. How do you convince a Ugandan that they're actually going to gain money from investing in these securities? And have there been any success stories that you can share with us so that people out there actually get to know, I can actually get money from this?
So thank you for raising that question. Before I could even address this, this very famous saying, there's this saying that was mentioned by one of the famous Ugandan investors, where he said, it's very important to own a small thing of a big thing. A small thing in a big thing. So basically own a small share in a big company as opposed to own a large share in a small company. So the benefits of investing in these capital markets, you find that most of our companies that are listed are one of the largest taxpayers companies, and most of them are probably one of the most profitable companies. So a good example is to say MTN. So I would rather own a share of a company like MTN as opposed to have a majority share in my small business, because one is that most of these companies have the balance sheet to sustain, but also away from that, you look at the historical years, these companies profits every year is always increasing. So you're more stand an advantage in owning that, and then leave the management of that company to drive the success story of that company, and you just sit as an investor. So the benefit for that is one is dividends. If I'm a shareholder today in a company, say for example Umeme released its results for last year and promised to pay a dividend of close to about 54 shillings per share. So me, an owner in this company, is that once a company is profitable and releases its results, is that because I'm a part owner, the company has to pay me a portion of that profit, which we call the dividend. So one key opportunity for you is the dividends, the other one is capital gains. Today, Umeme, I'll give an example, is that Umeme at some point this year was trading as low as 174. After those positive results were released, we saw the price rally from the levels of 170 to about 240 today. So you find that there's a capital gain perspective. If you put it in normal terms, is I go to the market today, I buy my tomatoes at 100 shillings. Tomorrow the demand for the tomatoes goes high, I come back and sell it at 200 shillings. So you find I would have made extra 100 shillings more. That's what we call capital gain. So I buy tomorrow low and I sell higher. Then the other benefit would be what we call the corporate actions. Is because I'm a part owner in this company, I am invited in an AGM where the company management present to me the performance of the company. In that session, I am able to interact with the management, the board of that organization, and say, me as a shareholder, I would like for you guys to address my concerns because I would like you to perform like this. Why are you performing like that? So there's room for you to interact with the board, and they're able to listen to your views. You also vote and appoint the auditors basically that means that it's for an independent party to oversee the performance of that company and certify that they're true and fair results. So because you appoint these auditors who are external auditors, they on your behalf, they're able to verify and say the numbers they're sharing to you are actually factual and real.
Is that why people fill a proxy form on the...
Oh yes. Oh yes. So you're required as per the regulations that one, if you're not really going to attend, you probably complete a proxy form. Otherwise, every shareholder is invited to an annual general meeting, whether you hold the lowest share, which is the minimum of 100, to billions of shares. You're all invited and you all vote and participate in these annual general meetings. So those are some of the key benefits.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about now the process of starting to buy shares through you as a SPG. What does it take for an individual, and who exactly do you look at as your target customer? Who is that person who is valued actually to come and purchase shares with you? And if these people are coming to you, what
work and interact with a licensed player. The Capital Markets Authority, which is an arm of government, is like the police. They oversee the industry. So it's very important that when you want to learn about investment, you speak to a licensed player. We are licensed by the Capital Markets Authority as an organization, but also at an individual level. So, and we are required to operate within a certain guideline. So we would always encourage that to make sure that is what you have in mind when you start on your investment journey. So for you to start investing, and again, you're buying into one of the large companies. This is public. This information is public. The companies are listed on the Uganda Securities Exchange. If you looked at Smart TV, you'd see the prices of these companies every day. So one key requirement for you to start on this investment journey is your national ID. Make sure you have a national ID. You provide a photo, and then we'll start on your investment journey.
Well, there's something called an SCD account.
Yes.
Securities Central Depository account. And many people always wonder what this account is. And usually when you bring this here, they say you go to your SCD account. Can you elaborate more on what it is and how someone can actually acquire one account? Okay.
So SCD account is very much relatable to what we all know, which is like a bank account. But in this case, the SCD account is ideally where your shares sit. We don't trade shares on paper documentation. We trade them off on a digital solution. So there's an account that holds those shares. There is no charges for that account. It's open. For now, you don't even have to see it going dormant, so it's always active. And then what happens is that once you provide us a national ID, we're able to KYC you. We open for you this account. You provided this account number. You can access it anytime. You can see the number of shares. You hold it. This account is not strictly for only one company. You can have one account and you have your Meme share sitting in there. You have your Stanbic Uganda Holding share sitting in there. You have your Uganda Clays share sitting in there. So it's an account that holds all the different shares, and anytime you can get a statement of your holdings.
Now let's speak about your listing on the USE, which has been there since 2005. What has made you such an investor's choice that in the last 3 months it has been the most traded stocks? Like, what has made you a very special?
Oh yeah, so as SBG Securities Uganda Limited, we are the market leaders from a market share from the beginning of the year to date, as well as we closed last year as being the top broker. So what gives us a competitive edge is that, one, we are part of a bigger group, and this is a Standard Bank group that has been in existence for more than 150 years. In addition to that, we also have subsidiary or sister companies across the world. We have offices in Nairobi, we have Uganda, we have in London, we have in New York, we have in South Africa, Nigeria, and Ghana. So you notice that we are across the world. What that brings is that we are able to appreciate and scale and deliver very milestone kind of transactions.
Wow.
So that is why.
That's beautiful. So someone has confidence, at least when they come to SPG, their money will not get lost or something. Because in Uganda we have a negative attitude towards investment because of what has happened to many Ugandans who have invested in things like cryptocurrency. Recently, Bank of Uganda just clamped down cryptocurrency transactions. But now SBG comes in, right, as a secure way. In investments and all these things that sound so good to believe, what are some of the downsides that you think are involved, and how do you manage that as a broker firm?
So some of the downsides are regarding, of course, like any other business, there are positives and the negatives. I spoke to, earlier alluded to the positives, but look now at the negatives. So again, stock prices, just like any normal market, the prices could go up, the prices could come down. The difference in this case in our industry or in our market is that unless I have sold, I have not made a gain, I have not made a loss. So if I bought Stanbic shares today at say 26 shillings per share, tomorrow that price fell down to 22 shillings per share. So my valuation portfolio would show I have lost money. But in this specific case, is that I've not realized that loss because I have not sold. So it's until you actually sell the share is when you recognize the gain or the loss. Yeah. So prices could go up or low. The other also is that some of the companies you invest in probably tomorrow could go bankrupt based on again the performance of these companies. Yeah. But from a regulatory perspective, there are measures that ideally come into play to identify and make sure the company that is look into some of those risks. One is from having a very solid research office. What we call about research is where we have an independent unit within our organization or our group that ideally evaluates and studies these companies, looks at their financials, looks at their performance, looks at the key metrics and advises. And in some of those advice, we say based on the financials of a certain company that we've looked into, would ideally recommend to say this is a good buy because we think, or because of such factors, we think the price should go higher. Then we would say this company in specific, if we looked at the numbers, their story, we probably have a recommendation to sell because we don't believe in their story or in some of their performance. Yeah. So those are some of the ways we make it easier for you as SBG, so that you're making the right decision, and that falls under our advisory to you.
Well, that's very beautiful. Now, you've talked about different ways we can actually gain from these investing in these capital markets. There is something called a bonus issue and a bonus right. You talked about dividends, you talked about capital gain. Can you talk a little bit more about the bonus right and issue?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So this, we categorize them what we call the corporate actions. And this usually happen. We've seen it happen in the Uganda Securities Exchange and across the markets all over the world. So what a bonus issue is basically, it is that the company would offer existing shareholders additional shares at zero cost. So to you, an investor, that is the benefit. Is that today I'll give you an example. Many years ago, Stanbic has done about close to 2 bonus issues. So if they've done about, in total absolute numbers, about 10%. So basically 10 additional shares for every share you've held over the last period of years. So if I had 100,000 shares in 2007 when Stanbic listed, today those number of shares are multiplied to 1 million. So you multiply them times 10. And so that is the organization has offered you additional shares at a zero cost. Yet you only initially bought only 100, today you have 1 million shares. That's what we define by bonus issue. The rights issue is basically where we say a company may want to raise money, and they ideally prefer to raise it from the existing shareholders without necessarily going to the banks. So what they do is they will come to the shareholders and say, we would like to offer you additional shares, however, at a discount price. So you'd find that if a price is trading at 100 shillings, the rights issue, they may come and say, we shall offer you additional shares at 50 shillings per share. So you find that the actual cost for you getting additional shares has been subsidized. So these are some of so that's the definitions of those two.
Okay, interesting. So meaning that there are all these various ways that someone can earn.
Yes.
Do they, if they're enrolled with you, do they need to follow them up individually, or you do it for them and just produce the results at the end?
All right. So that comes back to say, what does SBG offer you as an investor in our market? Key is that what we saw over COVID is that services have more or less moved into a digital space. And one of the key innovations we're working on our end is to create a digital platform where you can view the market, you can trade the market, as well as this digital solution is able to notify you and say, this is how your portfolio has performed, or this is how your stock in this company has performed. So those are some of the ways we keep it posted. However, away from that is on a daily, every day, at about 4 p.m. we do what we call the market trap, where we give you a report about the performance of the market. And in this market, we look at all the different asset classes. So you would say, we'll speak about how our equities market locally performed, speak about what the global markets have performed. Then we look about fixed income, as well as also report on how global currencies have performed.
Now, the SBG has been in operation for a long time. Do you have transactions across borders? Do you have chances of people investing in companies outside? Of course, leaving these cross-listed companies on the Ugandan Stock Exchange, but now we are looking at other countries, that are companies that may not be cross-listed. Do you have those options in your products?
Yes. So from economies of scale perspective, within our group and our representation across the continent, we are very much interlinked. So today you come to SBG Securities and you'd want to invest in Nigeria. Today you come to SBG Securities, you want to invest in Nairobi. We facilitate this. So those are some of the benefits we provide you, a customer in Uganda, is that you can invest globally, right, by coming to SBG Securities Uganda Limited.
Wow, that sounds really good. But then as well in Uganda, we have a challenge with the way people invest their money. Some people will want to withdraw their money, probably in case of a problem. There are those times when you need to liquidate and get maybe to solve a certain problem. If I've invested with SBG, is it possible to get back my money as soon as I can, and how fast can that be in case I want to pull out?
Okay. Thank you for that that's a very good question. And this I want to speak to our viewers out there that one, when you start on your investment journey, it's very important that you don't leverage to invest. So you don't borrow to invest. What you ideally need to do is you get your passive capital out after you've taken out your requirement needs and put that capital away to invest. Because what that means is that the different investments we offer you have different risks and give different returns. If I wanted to invest in shares today, it does not guarantee you the price goes up or falls down. So I need to but however, the return, you appreciate the return over a period of time. So equities are by nature are long-term, mid to long-term in nature. They provide you, there's an appreciation. So if you look at, I'm very much to the short-term space, you look at government, our debt securities, you look at government securities to say, I want to give you my money, but tomorrow I need a return. So that one is very assured, you know your return as from today when you make the initial investment. The other one also, which is very interesting, is the unit trust, which we are launching very soon.
Okay.
Is you put your money away and we invest it for you, but every day we give you a daily return. Based on when you need your money, you can take it away.
Wow.
But again, from being part of a bigger group, we're working on some of the innovations to say, if I hold an investment, which is an equity investment, and I wanted to sell it today, I need this money. So we're coming up with some of the innovations to say, we can provide you some capital, and then eventually, as your specific investment acts as security. So those are some of the innovations we're trying to bring to the market, with all the intentions to bring a very vibrant market and have everyone, based on their financial needs, participating in the market without any challenges.
You talked about the unit trust. So in your docket, you didn't have that before?
Yes, so this is a very new product for us, and we got the license sometime towards the end of last year. We are looking at launching it by half of this year.
Is it as more user-friendly than these other long-term securities?
Yes. So
how is that? So
the benefit out there of viewers is that all I have to do, I know I'm a very busy person. We know you're a very busy person. You have work that you do every day. So we want to take that burden away from you and say, I have my money. I don't have to run my small kiosk. I'd rather give this money to SBG Securities, but on condition they give me an interest.
Yeah.
So the way unit trust runs, that you give us your money, we invest it on your behalf, and promise you a return. And the way we're trying to do it, part of our innovation, is to say, we give you a daily return. Every day you put your money with us, after midnight you see, this is how much interest I have made.
Okay, and you can withdraw that money.
And you can withdraw it any time without any limitations.
Wow.
You can bring it now, and the next 1 minute you want to take it out. There is no restrictions for that.
Do I have to have a bank account to invest in that format?
Not really. You don't have to have a bank account.
As long as I have an SCD account? No,
even you don't need an SCD. So as long as you're an SBG customer, you register on the SBG platform. By default, you have access to all these products.
Okay.
So our viewers don't have to worry. Once we launch our product, which we intend to launch by half year this year, you should be able to interact on your investments through a digital solution.
Who can invest in all these products? Is it individuals? Can circles invest? Can a student invest? Can a border rider invest? Or you have a certain limit for corporate people to invest?
So I would say the requirement for you to invest, firstly, that is guided by the regulations, you must be above the age of 18.
Okay.
So anyone above the age of 18 can invest in whatever products we offer. And it's not limited to only individuals, it also extends to organizations. And organizations, you look at probably the SACCOs, the VSLAs of this world, you look at the corporate organizations, entities, so anyone is allowed to invest. What kind of investment you take is based off your risk appetite. Yeah.
Yes, talking about the risk appetite, there, you know, we all know in entrepreneurship, the higher the risk, the higher the return. But still, the higher the risk, the higher the losses in case things go wrong. Do you help the customer make wise decisions, or you put it to him and you're like, okay, these are the available products, so according to your own discretion, choose?
Now, what we do is that we tailor-make for you these services, this product. Is that we have an investment advisor who would sit down with you, understand your investment needs, and understand your investment goal, and based off that, they're able to tailor to you a solution that meets your goals or your objective.
So you tailor them according to the particular need of the customer?
Yes, based on the particular need.
Oh.
If I say today I have money, I want to start construction in the next 6 months. Ideally, we would not recommend you to start buying shares because of the risk associated with shares. We'd definitely tailor for you a product that suits your specific needs. So that is what we do as part of our services. That falls under our advisory services.
Wow, interesting right there. Now, we see very few companies that are listed in Uganda. Would like to know if you have any plans of having as many companies listed, or your information publicity out there, because even people are very ignorant about these exchanges and schemes, and people are very ignorant about these stocks. Do you have any plan to publicize this on a higher platform?
Yes, we do, but I also just want to align to you to what our slogan or it currently stands to say. Uganda is our home. We built our growth. So as part of an organization that is purely been in existence for more than 150 years, Standard Bank Group, we are purely, very much interested in building.
Standard Bank Group?
Yes.
Okay.
Which is our parent owner.
Okay.
We are very much determined to build our continent, and we are very heavily invested in our continent. Bring it back home. Uganda is our home when we build our growth. So that is our commitment as a brand. So for SBG in this case is to say, how can we grow and be part of the development of these capital markets? So we have taken those initiatives, and we saw where we brought an IPO to Uganda. This IPO was one of the first of its kind in a green IPO, I would say, first green IPO we've seen in the region. So that goes to say we are really committed in making sure.
What does a green IPO mean?
So a green IPO basically is that it's an initial public offer that is very digital, without manual paperwork.
Okay.
So those are some of the innovations to show you we're very much committed in building our capital markets and being part of that growth story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting, right there. Dear viewers, we are still with Mr. Ongura Joram, the CEO SBG Securities, a brokerage firm that is responsible for helping you invest your money, advising you on the wisest investments to make and what to do with your money, which is what this show is all about. We are coming back in a very short meantime. We are going to be talking more about the electronic transactions and how you can actually access these products electronically and what it takes for such an individual as you who's watching out there to come and actually start investing with SBG. Don't go away. We'll be right back.